2 weeks after Election Day, and Republicans are still blaming their loss not on themselves and their radical allegiance to the 1% and their obsession with female body parts, but instead they're blaming their loss on the voters. First it was Paul Ryan talking about the urban vote. Then it was Mitt Romney talking about all the gifts people wanted from President Obama. And then just last night, Bill O'Reilly lamented the changing American electorate and how untraditional those Americans are who voted for President Obama.
If you and your 17 writers would actually look at the exit polling, you'll see that a coalition of voters put the president back into the Oval Office. That coalition was non-traditional, which means it veered away from things like traditional marriage, robust capitalism, and self-reliance. Instead, each constituency that voted for the president, whether it be single women, Hispanic Americans, African Americans, whatever, had very specific reasons for doing so. What do you think was going on at the Democratic convention when a variety of speakers put out a long laundry list of things they want the government to provide?
Unlike all the super rich people who voted for Mitt Romney, they didn't want the government to give them anything, did they? All those big oil corporations, they didn't support Romney so they could receive $40 billion more in subsidies, did they? All those banksters on Wall Street, they didn't support Romney so they could keep their tax loopholes that allow them to pay a lower income tax rate than most working class Americans, did they? All the defense contractors in Virginia, they didn't support Romney so they could get another $2 trillion in defense contracts, did they? I think they did. And those are the real gifts. Whereas stuff like health care, college assistance, citizenship, privacy, those aren't gifts, Bill. Those are basic rights. Those are the bare minimum that people need in this country in order to make it. The point O'Reilly is really making, or trying to make, is the same point that scared white men have been making for decades. Heck, Pat Buchanan just wrote a book on it titled Suicide of a Superpower. And that point is American demographics and psychographics are changing. But rather than seeing that as a good thing, a sign of progress, people like Bill O'Reilly and the Republican Party see it as a threat. They're scared to death of what America would look like if it was less white, or what Congress would look like with a few more women or blacks or Hispanics or gays in it. In the face of this perceived threat, the Republican Party and its mouthpieces basically have two options. One, they can lie, which they're already doing, claiming that our economy runs best when wealthy and mostly white job creators are given enormous tax breaks, or complaining that 47% of the country doesn't pay income taxes. Or two, they can keep O'Reilly's non-traditional voters from voting. And they're already working on that one, too. Voter ID laws, restrictions on early voting, voter purges, they were all intended for one purpose: to suppress the minority vote. And just because it didn't work this year doesn't mean Republicans won't keep trying to desperately preserve their dwindling white majority at the polls.